Welcome back. We're right before kickoff here at the 6A championship game between Prairie Ridge and Sacred Heart Griffin. Two really good coaches on the sidelines for these two teams, Mark. You talk about Ken Leonard. Ken Leonard at this point in his career is 2 wins behind Frank Linty. He's got a whole bunch of wins in his career. 362 wins in 37 seasons, so 10 wins a season.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He's impacted many lives. He's got many coaches in his coaching tree that have branched off and done good things for himself, including his son, who won a title, and then Chris Shrimp, his 15th season. 119-50, has really established a program in his own way with option football. It might not be with the modus operandi as Mo coaches, but it works well in Crystal Lake.
Built a program out of nothing up there at Prairie Ridge and has done a great job. His motto, champions turn minor setbacks into major comebacks. These are two powerhouse teams that play a couple of different styles. This should be fun to watch. These two teams are looking after it. It's funny, Chris Shrimp said earlier this week that a few years ago they may have been intimidated by Sacred Heart Griffin and all the success that Coach Leonard has had. But he said that is not the case anymore. His kids came down here to Champaign to win. We are underway in the 6A title game. Kickoff into the end zone being brought out, and now they're saying that it is a touchback. And we'll get started here with the offense. And the offense for Prairie Ridge really revolves around Samson Evans. We talked about him in the open. 38 touchdowns for him, almost 1,900 rushing yards, 9 yards a carry for this kid. You're going to see him do a little inside, outside, everything. And this offense, this is what we like to see. Down blocking, they run the triple option, and the ball's loose.
They don't put it to the turf very often. The very first snap, a little bit of exchange between he and his fullback Ibram, and big play number 1. Turnover goes to the stead of the Cyclones. They get the first play of the game, turn it over inside. They're already in the red zone.
That's a rough way to start for Prairie Ridge. The mesh point was the problem. It looked like an elbow kicked out on Evans there and caused him to lose the ball. And Sacred Heart Griffin picks it up.
Sacred Heart Griffin blessed with a great running game in its own right, but Bernison is one that triggers things for this Cyclone offense.
And they get started. Handoff to Tremaine Lee. Lee with over 2,100 rush yards so far on the season. 32 touchdowns for him.
17-yard line. He had 3 touchdowns against Rock Island and that win there to help them get here. Or did not play against Rock Island. And he is a very, very big-time player in a small stature, but he can get at the house anytime at 5'9", 190.
And there he is on the outside. Nice work by Austin Forbett of Prairie Ridge. Two-way player for Bet. The roster for Prairie Ridge, not big. I mean, they're close to about 40 guys on that roster, so on the varsity roster. So guys have got to go 2 ways. They take their special athletes and they make them do things. So big third down here for Sacred Heart Griffin, trying to capitalize in an incomplete pass. Looking for Michael Healy.
Michael Healy is incomplete.
Love those helmets from Prairie Ridge, the Wolves. It's a good-looking helmet. Good-looking uniforms for Sacred Heart Griffin, too.
Yeah, nice and crisp, both these teams with their uniforms, what they are wearing, a black and gold and pure white, if you will, by Prairie Ridge, looking nice and clean as well. But they'll dirty them up as this game goes along on this turf here at Memorial Stadium, Champaign. Great venue, great weather, great championship football game coming up.
Colin Boyd to kick for Sacred Heart Griffin. 68 in point after try, 7 of 8 in field goals. and he makes that one. He's at a long this year of 49.
35, he got that with plenty of distance to spare. Right through the ball, kept his head down.
Partner, I was watching him warm up, and he has got some distance for sure. That is a weapon in their kicking game, and an early lead for Sacred Heart Griffin. The 2016 IHSA Football State Championships are brought to you by Country Financial. Country Financial will help you build a plan with insurance and financial solutions to help you get to where you want to go. Call your local rep at 1-866-COUNTRY or visit countryfinancial.com. Let's take a look at the weather for today's game. The 6A championship is getting the best temperatures of the day, 47 degrees. A little light wind of 12 miles per hour. Some sunshine peeking in into Memorial Stadium.
Perfect football afternoon for 2 days of the weekend after Thanksgiving. We're crowning 8 state champions. 2 full days of football feast.
Sacred Heart Griffin with a 3-0 lead, turning a turnover into points. And here's the kickoff by Boyd. And a little reverse action on the kickoff. And that's Evans on the reverse there, so getting him involved in special teams.
And the ball came down again, but was covered up this time by Prairie Ridge. Averted any kind of second turnover. Was covered up by Cooper Tomlin.
Samson Evans, the Mr. Everything for the Prairie Ridge Wolves, but he does have some help. I mean, he'll get some help from Cole Brown. He'll get some help from Austin Forbett as well. But we have seen this Prairie Ridge team only complete 1 pass last week and only 3 called pass plays. They are looking to run the rock.
Yeah, they want to come right at you downhill with the fullback and then outside with your running game.
Here's a look at Sacred Heart's defense. The Cyclones, very strong up the middle. Matt Brenison, the quarterback's little brother.
Yeah, 3 great linebackers playing sideline to sideline for the defense under coordinator Jim McMahon for the Cyclones.
Here's Evans off left guard, and he is bottled up. This is what they do, and they will keep running it until there is a break in the dam.
Well, and what they do is they do it over and over, as you mentioned, and it's all defensively. It's all about reading keys. You see keys there. Everybody's got to stay gap assignment. When you don't have gap assignment, mistakes happen. But Evans will continue to probe, and he can spring a big one at any time.
This time to go to Cole Brown, who they like to use on the jet sweep play quite a bit in this triple option. So if you're watching going, okay, well, what can you compare it to? They're a lot like Georgia Tech. They're a lot like the Naval Academy. They're a lot like Army. That's the type of offense they like to run.
And we know all the service academies like option football because they can't recruit the same kind of athletes, so they have to be a little bit more diversified. And it works well for Prairie Ridge. They run that all the way through their system, down through the grade schools, what have you.
So far, a great start for Sacred Heart Griffin's defense, and they force a punt, fielded well and covered well. Let's take a look at the starting offense for Sacred Heart Griffin. 37-yard punt, by the way. Tim Brenison, watching him throw the ball, he has got a very beautiful delivery. He stands tall in the pocket and can make good throws. You're going to see them get those wide receivers out there. They're going to spread you out, and they're going to see if you can defend it because they know that they have a quarterback that can get the ball down the field. Keep an eye out for Tremaine Lee, the running back number 2, with over 2,100 yards on the ground. This offense can do a little bit of everything, and they'll show you that throughout the afternoon. Handoff inside. Why don't we take a look at that Prairie Ridge defense and see how they'll line up against this Sacred Heart Griffin offense. Joe Perhatz, 78 tackles, 7 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. Had 3 sacks versus DeKalb in the semifinal. Three-man
front.
Starting lineups, of course, brought to you by Taco Bell. Liv Moss.
How about when you bring your number 2 back in, Brian Adams, they call him BB, just 5'9", 175 in on this series. He might be faster than Lee. And you bring in your number 2 back, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. So what a great 1-2 punch when 2 guys can rush for over 3,000 yards. Both juniors, by the way.
Yeah, the future is bright and the present is bright for Sacred Heart Griffin. They have been a powerhouse down in 6A. And there it is again. Handoff inside to Adams, not the singer, the running back.
Springfield, Sacred Heart, Griffin, their program, its history speaks for itself. And they reek in history, and I say that in a positive way. Year after year, 17 consecutive playoffs. And Ken Leonard has a program that just perpetuates itself with former players coaching. They just love being a part of the Cyclone program.
When we talked to him this week, he talked about how you have a lot of kids whose dads have played for him, a lot of uncles that have played for him, and when you can rack up 362 wins in IHSA, you're clearly doing something right. When they mention you with Frank Linty and Mount Carmel, you know that you are at the big table, the Hall of Fame coach Ken Leonard.
37 teams have come to the playoffs under Ken Leonard. Play action pass, first down to Mounts. Nice pickup to move the sticks, keep things honest.
We play fake there and outside, and it's Mounts again as Sacred Heart Griffin marching down the field, and we are seeing a completely different thing than what we saw in the 5A game, where it was all tempo, tempo, tempo. We're seeing both of these offenses take their time in their play calling to get the plays called right, not really necessarily huddling up, but getting the play clock inside of 15 or inside of 10, which in the 5A game we did not see that.
No, they're very much into the read option game as well. They put it in since 2000, and they've refined it every year over the past 15, 16 years.
Here's Adams again, up the gut, and he picks up a first down.
You know, they have a staff that's been intact a long time. Their offensive coordinator, John Allen, calling plays for Ken Leonard 14 years, and Ken Leonard has so much respect for his coordinators. He gives them full autonomy over their offensive defense, and he just kind of sits in and has the final say, but he's got guys that he lets do their thing.
They love to pull the guards, get those guards upfield. More of a gap team, and ball's out. And there's a turnover, and it looks like Prairie Ridge may have gotten their first break.
That ball was hit. It was popped out right when Brian Adams hit the line of scrimmage around the football. It appears coming up with that football was number 80 for Bet, who comes up and gets some congratulations from his team. A little bit of an inside handoff, and it was Lee that coughed it up for Bet right there to pick it up. Turnover 1 for each team. We'll see if Prairie Ridge can now get their read option game, their triple option game, in some kind of rhythm.
Triple option look. Evans with the keeper. Up the middle for about 4 yards.
Prairie Ridge advanced, beating Deerfield 41-0. They eliminated Montini, Chris Andriano's last game, 51-24. Lake Forest, they put 71 up against Lake Forest and then beat DeKalb 54-35 last week. A very methodical march through the playoffs for Prairie Ridge.
You know how all these teams feel about taking on Montini, and getting a win against Montini is big anytime you can do it.
Chris Andriano announced his retirement shortly after the football season. He's already been replaced, but what a great impact he had on high school football in Illinois.
And a first down. What's the difficulty of dealing with the triple option from a defensive standpoint?
It's all about reading keys. Everyone's got a responsibility, and when someone gets out of their responsibility, then big plays happen. As you see the carry there, is normally a situation where somebody in your defense that you pre-pick has responsibility for the fullback. Usually a defensive end or an outside linebacker has pitch responsibility, and then the other one of those two has quarterback responsibility to keep contained. So all of those people have to hold their keys. Backside has to stay at home, and when that happens, you can control the triple option attack. If you get out of your lane, your big play can happen. That's what the offense wants.
It's interesting watching the pre-snap motion as Evans plows his way up the middle for a first down to see Sacred Heart Griffin react to the motion man and have guys coming downhill before the snap.
Absolutely. And everything here is Samson Evans is a read. He will sometimes give it to his quarterback, to his fullback, and Ibram, who had a good game last week. He'll sometimes read the defensive end. If the defensive end crashes, he'll use pitch man. And every once in a while, once or twice a game, he'll option out of a pass play.
Pitch play here. Picks up some yardage, turns the corner. That's a nice play design and nice execution. 14 yards on that play by Zach Gobranson.
But he picks up some great blocking downfield. There's the fullback, there's the pitch, and now look at the blocking out in front. He's got 2 white shirts, 17 out in front as well. Leading a little bit of help was Nicholas Hamilton. If you are in this offense and you spread yourselves out as a receiver, you have to be able to block downfield.
Now it's outside pitch to Cole Brown, trying to get the edge, and he picks up 3 yards.
Cole Brown, Prairie.
This Prairie Ridge team, when you look at what they've done, they kept their preparation plan. They won the 2011 title. They kept their exact same preparation plan for this game. It's really interesting, some of the connections that they've had. This team lost to Montini last year, and Coach Chris Shrimp told us that his kids were in the weight room the next day. They took it hard, and they wanted to find themselves back in a position like this, and here they are in the state championship game.
Yeah, they got back to the weight room 2 days after they lost, and Coach Shrimp told us that's when he knew that they really had their vision, and they were going to look forward. They were going to look forward to the next season. And when you get guys in the weight room as a team, that's how championships are won. They're won around days, around iron in the weight room.
Samson Evans' brother was on the 2011 state championship team, and that game was played on his birthday. Today is also his birthday. That ball on the ground and picked up. Sacred Heart Griffin, the Cyclones get an opportunity. Jack Bowl picks it up and goes the distance. 62 yards on the fumble recovery, and fumbles have been the name of the game so far. The turnover turns into points immediately, and now Sacred Heart Griffin with an opportunity to go up 10-0.
Well, you know, a scoop and score. We're going to see it right there. A little bit of trouble. He follows second man through. It was the quarterback Samson, and there was about 4 or 5 shirts around him. The ball is punched out. Bowl, Johnny on the spot, scoop and score to the house, and the second turnover against Prairie Ridge that they have parlayed now into points. One a field goal, and this one scoop and score touchdown. And yeah, you can put that one on the board. It's up there at a big 6 on a defensive touchdown.
The extra point is good. Colin Boyd has not missed an extra point all year. The Cyclones of Sacred Heart Griffin using turnovers and turning them into points. They take a 10-0 lead on Prairie Ridge to start off the 6A title game. Starting Monday, December 5th, break away from the same old sports shows and get your social on with In the Loop on CSN. It's your fast-paced, fresh daily take on sports, featuring trending topics, viral videos, and you. In the Loop with Luke Stuckmeyer and Layla Rahimi premieres Monday, December 5th at 6 on CSN.
Prairie Ridge has to regroup. They've shot themselves the proverbial foot twice. parlaying points, 10 up on the board for Sacred Heart Griffin, but this is a Prairie Ridge team that averages 50.2 points per game. They won't blink as they will just stay with their game plan, and you know that Samson Evans will indeed bounce back as a leader of this team. He was the one that fumbled it the last time, second man through on a straight called play for him to run that football. It was popped out, scoop and score, ball to the house.
You know, the kicking game for the Cyclones is so good that it puts teams behind because they're always starting in negative territory. When you've got a kicker that can get the ball into the end zone, that's an extra added part of your defense.
Yeah, you have a special player in Colin Boyd. We saw his field goal put his team on the board first. I believe he's got like 65% of his kickoffs have gone into the end zone, so opponents have 80-yard fields to work with. That is very much a big part of your defense to have a special teams player put you in that position.
All right, Evans with the keeper here, going around the right side, cut back, a big gainer for Evans down the sideline. He hasn't been touched. Samson Evans is going to the house. No flags. Touchdown, Prairie Ridge. 80 yards on the keeper by Samson Evans. You asked for a response, and you got one.
Hey, the next play is the thing. He goes to the house. He is one man that can hit a home run on any single touch of the football. Watch him. Hey, number 77 with a big block for him well in front. His big old guy, Jeffery Jenkins. And the play that his teammates follow him down the field. Jeffery Jenkins threw that block at about the 40, and he started jumping up and down right then. His offensive lineman, I wish we could see it again, his offensive lineman was already juiced, knowing he got his quarterback to the house.
Well, they needed that, and he needed that, because it looked like the Cyclones were starting to really take control of this game, but Evans turns it around with one play. And this is why Chris Shrimp, when we talked to him about this offense, and there are a lot of people that'll go, oh, they run the ball, and here's the kick out block. Oh, what a beautiful job to spring him. That's 2 blocks to get him downfield. Make that 3 blocks by Jeffery Jenkins to spring Samson Evans. Sometimes the parents complain, Mark. Sometimes the parents complain about this offense, and they say, well, why don't you throw the ball?
Why?
And Chris Shrimp tells them, because we score 50 points a game running the ball with an athlete like Samson Evans. Wow, what a play.
6 plays, 96 yards already. That one, 80 yards. You see, look at him gasping for air as he's going to turn into a sprint champion the way he gets the ball to the end zone. 39 touchdowns on the season rushing. Are you flat out kidding me?
Nice high bounce there on the kickoff. And now Sacred Heart Griffin will get the ball at about their 35-yard line. Have we seen some big plays today, partner, or what?
Yeah, you got to love electric plays. You got to love explosive plays. And we had talked about it. People watching might have been saying, oh, what's with this Prairie Ridge offense? They haven't done anything, turnover. But they can score big plays anytime. You know, he had 7 touchdowns, did Evans, in one game earlier on. He had 6 at the half. This guy is a home run, a grand slam waiting to happen on every touch.
7 touchdowns against Montini. Player of the Week honors on CSN Chicago. Bernison goes outside, and it's complete for a gain of 5 yards.
They get ball on the outside route, 22nd or 23rd catch of the season. Now, the thing with ball at 6'2", he averages 24 yards a catch. Play action, on time, on target, one-on-one coverage. He's able to get the ball down. A nice little tackle in space out there for Michalowski from Prairie Ridge, but ball, that 21 catches and 3 touchdowns on the season.
Handoff inside, Adams bottled up.
Evans has not had a seam yet. He comes in with 2,108 yards, 10.8 per carry, a little inside handoff, and just busting through to make a play. One-on-one, almost untouched, was Jacob Oman, their fine linebacker.
Shot a gap on that play, 89 tackles, 5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss for him coming into this game.
Hard-nosed football player out of their 3-5 defense.
Bernison drops back and misfires on the outside, and it'll be 4th down. Let's see what Coach Leonard wants to do here.
They had isolated the outside Aiden Duncan. Excuse me, that was Vince Mounts who was targeted. They've already caught 2 passes today.
Prairie Ridge dropping back like they expect the punt, and they get it from Bernison, who kicks it out of bounds, and it lands at about the 22-yard line. Oh, they're walking it back up, and they're going to say it went out of bounds at the 26-yard line. So a couple of good sequences for Prairie Ridge, where they forced the punt after scoring the touchdown. Think Samson Evans had enough time to catch his breath?
I think so. Now, people might say, well, they run the same play. Well, you know what? They might. It's all about read. It's all about options. Yes, they have some set play, but about 75–80% is pure read option by Samson Evans.
And this time he plows ahead for 3 yards.
Evans on the keeper.
Well, Chris Schemp told us that his keys to the game were discipline for 4 quarters, move the chains, and stop explosive plays by Sacred Heart Griffin. So all those things will be checkpoints that we'll see. Are they able to execute as this game goes along?
Evans with the pitch this time, right side. And another 3 yards. Goldbrinson.
Well, Branson, maybe their best blocker of the defense. This time the pitch man. He had a TD last week against DeKalb. Well, Branson, you know, not the big numbers as far as yards gains of the season, but very efficient, 7.6 yards per carry when he does get a chance to touch. He's probably the best blocker in the backfield.
These offensive linemen for Prairie Ridge are small and agile. They like to get to the second level. This play bottled up in a 4th down situation now for Prairie Ridge.
Yeah, their center, Grant Galata, is only 5'9", 218. You talk about a diminutive center for an offensive football team, but you're right. Their job as an offensive line for the Wolves is to pull, to make blocks downfield. It's not the bulk, it's the speed that they want to utilize to get their running game going.
Cyclones call a timeout here. I'm wondering if they want the wind, if that's what's going on here, where they call a timeout to force the punt and have the wind for at least 1 or 2 more plays.
Absolutely. A flag starting to stiffen up a little bit as we look to either end zone. There's a good shot of right there, the IHSA flag, American flag in the forefront. And Ken Leonard saying make them punt against the wind might get us an extra 10 to 15 yards.
You know, that is an effective, if that's why it happened, that's an effective use of a timeout, because we see so many times coaches will take timeouts with them in their pocket to halftime, and you can't use them, so you might as well use them in a situation where you can flip field position.
Yeah, flipping field position is oh so important.
Great kick, fantastic punt by Prairie Ridge, fielded and returned and knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A 44-yard punt.
Joey Milbrandt on the return, had a line drive kick, so he had time to make that return. And they got decent field position, but probably not as much as they'd hoped for. It should be the last play of quarter number 1.
At zone 32-yard line.
Bernison has loved the play action package early on. You know, just amazing. We talked about he's thrown like 60 touchdowns and 5 or 6 interceptions in his 2 years. You talk about efficiency and touchdown pass to turnover ratio, just outstanding.
Handoff inside to Adams, and we are through 1 quarter.
Lead the ball carrier. Tackle by 21.
Sacred Heart Griffin took some early turnovers and turned them into points, but a nice comeback by Prairie Ridge with an 80-yard run from Samson Evans. Cyclones up 10-7. Following this game, get ready for two must-see matchups on CSN. At 4, the Plainfield North Tigers seek their first state football title against the undefeated East St. Louis Flyers. Then at 7, Maine South looks to avenge an earlier 1-point loss to Loyola and seize the crown, while coach John Holisek and the defending champion Ramblers seek their second straight Class 8A state title. Watch every game on air and online at csnchicago.com or on the NBC Sports app. For complete listings, visit csnchicago.com/Illinois High School. There's an incomplete pass from Renison.
Renison's pass is incomplete.
Renison's brother Bobby was the quarterback for their championship teams in 05 and 06. He's now the head high school coach at Centralia, and his dad Bob is an assistant here. 2,800 yards last year, 2,400 yards this year for Renison. And they have loved the first down play action pass, that one being the second down variety. They've come out a lot of play action in their package of the Cyclones here today.
Real family affair down at Sacred Heart Griffin. And a big play by Prairie Ridge coming in and getting the sack. That's a big-time play to shut down the Cyclones.
Trevor Potter, he's excited as he comes off the field. Number 5, he comes in almost untouched. He finds a seam, comes from the backside, outside in, gets him from the backside. Sacre Blue on that one, and he pumps his fist on the way off the field.
And Chris Shrimp wants a timeout here.
Timeout, Prairie Ridge.
Wants to talk some things over. Get the special teams focused. Let's take a look at how these two teams found their way to the state title game. Start with Prairie Ridge, and you see their undefeated season. Big wins for them. The win against Montini, the revenge game from last year. They won that one decidedly, 51-24. Big win over Deerfield as well. This is a team that averages 50 points a game.
And what jumps out at you there is they were really only tested once. That's by their nemesis, Cary Grove. Great deal of respect between those two teams. Very similar type of philosophies in their programs. Besides that, some wide margins of victory. Beat an 8A playoff team, Huntley, in week 2. And from there, it was roll on.
All right, Cyclones back in punt formation now with Bernison. Is that Evans back to receive the punt? He's waving it off on the sidelines, telling his guys to get away from it as it stops rolling, maybe with a little bit of assistance by Adams, pushing it back, and the officials say no.
36 yards.
We're going to put it at the 31-yard line. Why don't we take a look at how the Cyclones got here? Their motto is, our toughest opponent is ourselves. And you see some of the numbers they put up. That 62-0 win over Lincoln, 42-0 over Springfield Southeast. And then in the semifinals, they had a tough game against St. Lawrence. That was a real tough game, and a good fight shown by St. Lawrence in that game.
If you talk to Ken Leonard, he'll tell you his toughest game was what? Rochester.
Against his son.
Yeah, coaching against his son. Not an easy thing to do, because you want your son to do well, you want your own team to do well. They're in the same conference, so they do that every year.
Ken Leonard's wife has to play peacemaker in that house quite a bit.
Wife Liz has been around football her entire life.
Doesn't even really like it, just likes the men in her family. Always supportive, always telling the guys to put the football away when it's time to come to the dinner table.
Look at Ebram right there. Great picture of number 12, Emmanuel Ebram. He's a chiseled kind of guy, low center of gravity, 5'8", 218. He's the inside presence, just a pounder, if you will, he is like the first option in their triple option attack they have.
Handoff inside, and it's Ibram
get a carry.
for 6 yards. He's closing in on a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, now the great read here was by Samson Evans, because he held onto that ball for the last second. He saw the defensive end outside, and so he gave it to his fullback to go ahead and crash. He's the chain mover. He's the inside guy that is the threat in between the tackles.
It's really fun to watch the defense of Sacred Heart react to the motion man. And there's something we don't see every day. A pass from Samson Evans. Just missed Austin Forbett. Now Forbett's got 9 touchdown receptions so far this year, but that's why I like watching how the defense reacts to the motion man, because it almost lulls them into sleeping. And Evans had Forbett, just missed him a little deep.
Holding. White, number 12. Repeat first down after the 10-yard penalty.
And that was a great picture, because every single defender for Sacred Heart Griffin was looking at the quarterback. Nobody at the defender, because everything was run mentally. They came out,
that call. I love that call. It was going to come back anyway because of a holding penalty, but it lets you know that you can do some things with this offense. Great pitch play here. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
Great seal blocking by the offensive line of Prairie Ridge on that. Everybody's gets their angles. It's all about angles, low pad level. Watch the guys at the top of your screen blocking in, blocking in, blocking in. And then that allows the running back to go ahead and read those blocks. Bill Branson does, to pick up about 10 yards. They just about got that 10-yard holding penalty back into a manageable situation.
Second down here, Evans keeps it himself, gets outside to the right side, and close to the first down, may have it. Let's see where the spot is. He is a tough runner, only a junior, 6'1", 205, Mr. Everything for Prairie Ridge.
Boy, what a great block by number 66. You'll see it right there, boom. And then 77 down, say Grappeton was doing one man, and then Jenkins came all the way from the other side to throw a block. But it was the first guy, Grappeton, that really kicked his man out. Evans did his job of using his vision, cut it back inside to move the chains.
1st and 10, Prairie Ridge. Inside handoff, picks up 4 yards.
If your defensive coordinator of Sacred Heart Griffin, Jim McMahon, 25 years. Now in today's high school football game, there's so much spread, there's so much throwing, and then you have to prepare for an option attack. It's a whole different preparation than a normal week. So guys, again, they have to read their keys, they have to stay where they're supposed to be, and communication and film study is the utmost important throughout the week.
Jet sweep here by Brown, and he moves the chains for another first down. They love that play, getting him going at top speed before the handoff, and then giving him an opportunity to make a play.
827 yards coming in. Nice kickback as the play goes one direction. Now watch him read his block, tuck the football down, keep some good balance, cut it back against where the flow of the defense was going sideline to sideline. He cut it back for more yardage.
Inside handoff on this play. It's Ibram, maybe a face mask on that play, no call. He's taken down after another first down, 17-yard gain, and we're seeing the Prairie Ridge offense start to churn a little bit.
Ibram, there's no other way to describe him. He's a tank. Look at him hold that ball tight to his chest, pointing the football up in his armpit. And he tries to extend the play to get out of bounds, but he comes at you downhill, low pad level, low center of gravity, tough to bring down in space.
1st and goal from the 10. Evans on the keeper, bounces off a couple tackles and finds his way into the end zone. We told you he is Mr. Everything. A 10-yard scamper for Samson Evans and a touchdown that puts Prairie Ridge on top.
Have to sort out the flag. Illegal procedure. This one's going to come back. It was a very late flag, Lawrence, on that play. Samson get the end zone.
Illegal motion, number 24, White. 5-yard penalty, first down.
All right, so this will back it up to the 15. 1st and goal from the 15. There you see Chris Shrimp on the sidelines.
He said Samson Evans is the best kid to run our offense. To stop us, you must be disciplined. If not, we'll be explosive. And that's what happened on the 80-yard scamper earlier.
This time he fakes it right, goes left, gets a block from Jenkins, pushes, and gets the touchdown anyway. 15 yards, Samson Evans and Jeffery Jenkins. Jeffery Jenkins has done an incredible job pulling, getting out in front of plays, and opening up run lanes.
Boy, his blocks, Jenkins blocks at 6'4", 250 are way downfield. Watch him follow the big fella. Jenkins from the right side. Look at him hunting, stalking a man to block. He gets one. He gets another guy. Picks up a little bit of help from Nicholas Hamilton and hits the end zone.
The extra point is good. A 9-play drive that spans 64 yards, 3 minutes and 34 seconds. And Prairie Ridge, behind Samson Evans and Jeffery Jenkins, takes the lead. There's Samson Evans, the quarterback for Prairie Ridge, coming off a touchdown run. There's the drive, a 15-yard touchdown run for Evans in the game so far. 11 carries for him, 130 yards, both touchdowns, and this was after a start that seemed a little clunky. We saw a couple of turnovers, but he has an 80-yard touchdown run and now a 15-yard touchdown run to put the Wolves on top.
Well, he's a winner. That's his 40th rushing touchdown of the season, and he would not blink at all. His team rallies around him. They had a couple turnovers early, but he is very special in his craft, and his craft is reading defenses and playing option football, and he can do it with the best of them.
Derek Grenier with the touchback. He wrote a column for the Northwest Herald talking about how lonely practice is for kickers. Says he has to, have to kick by himself and has to stay focused and motivated and wants to help his team any way that he can. He did there by setting the defense up with a long field. But Adams comes out and picks up 10 quickly up the middle.
Well, what they did there is they spread things out. When you spread things out, you move defenders out of the box. Teams like to stack the box to run a running game. They go 4 or 5 wide. That opens up a big seam inside. It's a numbers game. Tremaine Lee finds a big hole, and because the defense was so spread out, linebackers were out in the flats, and that left a big seam for Tremaine Lee, the 5'9", 190-pound junior, to get through.
7:32.
The officials changing the clock. It had lost 6 seconds, so they put that back on.
You know, the neat thing about football, it's a team game, but you have to win individual matchups. And as many individual matchups that are won on the interior, that's the team that will normally win.
Bernyson goes to the flat, finds Adams, and he is stuffed. Joe Perhats with the tackle. He's over 80 tackles now for the year.
Great play there by Berg, though. Watch Berg, number 29, who just blows the play up. He doesn't finish it, but he blows it up, allows time for buddies to get around the football. Team football, hats to the football, fly to the football. Good team defense causes a loss of yardage on a first down play.
2nd and 14. Bernyson in the shotgun. Adams comes to join him, fake handoff. Bernyson going up top. Got a man, and the ball is caught. Vince Mounts with a big gainer. 29 yards outside the numbers, and that's a first down.
Well, they throw it up, he goes, Mounts gets it at its highest point. Watch the big fella go up and get the ball, rips it down. He's 6'3", 185, use that advantage. Bernyson, his quarterback, knew it. He had a 53-yard touchdown catch last week, a big play man.
Doesn't have to break stride to make the catch either, which is great. Now outside it goes to Lee. Lee breaks a couple of tackles and gets out of bounds after a gain of 7.
Nice block on the outside by Ball. We have described stalk blocks when wide receivers can block on the inside, on the outside, and running backs like Lee can bounce it back to the inside. Great symmetry between blocker and runner after the catch.
Good drive being put together here by Sacred Heart Griffin.
600 wins in the history of their football program. That's an exorbitant number.
Inside handoff, it goes to Lee, and Lee up the gut for another first down.
6'4", 279 is the average size of this Sacred Heart Griffin offense. That is a college type of line. Yeah, the Big Ten, they're over 300, but I'm talking about these guys all could put on 15, 20 pounds. That is a very big high school line.
That's a MAC offensive line for sure. Other than Northern, they go pretty big up in DeKalb. That pass incomplete.
Pass intended to Brian Adams is incomplete.
Bernice 4 out of 8. 29 yards, but a couple of big plays. That must be behind because that did not count the big play to Mount, so numbers might be a little behind. See Ken Leonard on the sideline. Ken Leonard lets his guys coach. We talked about that, but don't think for a minute he doesn't make the final call on anything that goes on.
5 wide receivers set here, and now Lee comes back into the backfield and hand it off to him. Lee up the middle, big run, gets it inside the 10.
Boy, they did. That's the same play they ran before to the other side, running over their big offensive line there. Clement 6'3", 295 with a nice block. Montel 6'5", 285 with a nice block. Inside handoff. Tremaine Lee and his speed, his acceleration at the next level does the job as they're spreading out this defense of Prairie Ridge and then going up the middle to find some spots with some lanes.
Red zone opportunity here, and there it is. Tremaine Lee with an 8-yard touchdown run to put Sacred Heart Griffin back on top.
33rd rushing touchdown of the season, and that is the third play on that drive where they went spread and then inside. Will Prairie Ridge have to adjust because they have to respect the outside game and the alignment? And we talk about game of numbers, just not enough people inside the box from tackle to tackle to defend the running game of Tremaine Lee and the big fellas up front opening those seams.
Colin Boyd has not missed an extra point all season. He gets that one to go. An 8-play, 80-yard drive capped off with a Tremaine Lee touchdown up the middle. This game's going back and forth. Sacred Heart Griffin with a 17-14 lead. The 6A state title game between Prairie Ridge out of Crystal Lake and Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin. We've got a really good one so far.
Yeah, we got a good crowd as well. Springfield fans baked in sunshine right now on the far side. The shadows setting over. Prairie Ridge, they're a little bit more bundled up below us because they're not getting the heat effect of the sun.
Angled kickoff here. Thought maybe it had a chance to go out of bounds. But picked up by Gobranson. And Prairie Ridge will set it up.
You know, this is another game that we have where it's just fun to watch the athleticism and the skill of the skilled players that are out there.
Check out Gobranson here, where he's not going to just give it up. He lowers the shoulder pad and delivers a blow to Jake Bowl.
Yeah, that was quite the collision.
Inside handoff by Ebro.
The ball carrier.
Ebro starting to assert himself just a bit on the inside. Play coming in. Check the wristband. Look to the sideline. And you know what the play is? Could be option football.
It's going to be triple option football for sure. A little fake motion in a pitch play with a blocker outside. Gobranson picks up the first down.
I tell you what, you see so many Prairie Ridge runners cut back against the grain. That's not necessarily, we always talk about great running backs' vision, but this is by design because they know where the blocking's coming from, so they're going to practice that, cutting back against the grain, because the defense flows one way, sideline to sideline. They know they're going to have cutback blocks against the grain when the defense does not have contain.
Evans keeps it this time. Left side gets a good chunk of yards and moves the chains for another first down.
Those blocking schemes up front for the Wolves much different than the Cyclone Sacred Heart defense is used to seeing. They're pinching down, pushing down. It's all about just creating enough of a seam for Samson Evans to make a decision. Look at everybody crash down the fullback.
First down for Prairie Ridge.
He's able to just get to the edge.
This is why this offense is so effective, because the defense thinks, oh, we've got it down, and then there's another wrinkle on where to go with the football. And there's Evans again on the keeper, picks up 9.
Samson Evans on the carry.
He's very good and very adept at following where the hole is and where his blockers are. He's a very smart, patient runner.
Yeah, he's so strong, smart, uses vision, and patience is a virtue. He lets plays develop, and he's so powerful. You think of option quarterbacks, you think of little shakers.
Yeah.
Well, he's a big guy in his own right, very athletic.
And he's got the jets that, and we saw that on the 80-yard touchdown run. If you give him a little bit of a hole, he can make a huge play.
Well, he had 290 yards in the first half against Lake Forest, where his team had 474 rushing yards in the very first half of that game.
He's Mr. Everything for the Prairie Ridge Wolves, but that offensive line that he plays in front of is very strong. Galata, Schultz, Crump, Jenkins, Griffin. I mean, and there goes Evans. Evans to the house. Another touchdown for the Prairie Ridge quarterback. 38 yards on the keeper.
You know, Lawrence, you can't, I don't think with him on offense, I don't think you can say 20-yard line in, they're in the red zone. They're in the red zone each and every touch. There he goes, fullback dive, and the linebacker comes crashing down. He reads their linebacker crashing down. He said, nope, you go get him. I'm going to carry the football. He takes it right up the middle, and a responsibility breakdown right there, but plus he's so hard to tackle one-on-one.
The extra point is good. A 6-play drive of 78 yards. Took a minute and 50 off the clock. Samson Evans now 14 carries, 191 yards, 3 touchdowns, and of course that long of 80. Just like we were saying, you hit a little crease for him, and he can take it to the house. It looks like Prairie Ridge is starting to wear down Sacred Heart Griffin's defensive line, because they've got so many different guys that can carry the ball, and because you think you know where the ball is going, you see people try to jump on it, crash down, and try to make a play. And that's the beauty of the triple option offense, where if you've got linemen that can stay on their blocks and finish their blocks, it opens things up for a player of the talent of Evans to make plays for you.
14 carries, 191, and that comes out to 13.6 yards per carry. Explosive.
They kick off again in the end zone, and another touchback, and this is a weapon that they have. They have a kicker that can get the ball into the end zone consistently, and because of that, you start behind the 8 ball if you're Sacred Heart Griffin.
You know, Ken Leonard said that Prairie Ridge plays great team defense. They're extremely well coached, and I love prepping for a well-coached team. These are two guys that both believe in their system, and if you're a great coach, you sell your system, and both these teams buy in to what their coaching staffs do for them in game preparation.
Sacred Heart with only 131 yards, but that's a bit deceiving because they've had some short fields on their first 2 opportunities after some turnovers. Almost 300 yards of offense for Prairie Ridge so far.
Perhats with a nice tackle. He had 3 sacks last week, 6'3", 195. Linebacker making a tackle at the point of attack. Good individual. Look at the wide splits right now by Sacred Heart Griffin, trying to spread out this defense of Prairie Ridge just a little bit.
Let's see if they have an inside handoff off of this. And they fake it, and Bernyson goes outside. Good gainer there. Picks up 9 and a first down.
Mounts having a pretty good first half. On time, on target, play action once again. Bernyson Nice and honor roll student.
At the 31-yard line.
He's the quarterback of their team, both physically but emotionally, mentally. He's the one that gets things done for them, a 2-year player that just knows how to run their system. He grew up running their system.
He tightened up the splits here, and it's Adams on the carry. Picks up about 4 yards.
I'd like to have Tremaine Lee at 2,100 yards. Adams, you're back up over 1,000 yards. Nice look at the little guy, 5'9", 175. He'll be a recruitable player. Coach Leonard says he's actually faster than Tremaine Lee.
I don't know if I believe that. We're going to have him run the 40 after the game is over. See what's what. Another handoff inside. Picked up a few yards here. Closing in on 2 minutes to go in the half.
Just amazing. It's been a good football game. Both, a couple turnovers for Prairie Ridge. 21-17 on the board. And it doesn't seem like the pace that we saw in the 5A game where there's a snap about every 5 seconds.
And there is another handoff. Inside.
Brian Adams on the carry.
Ullman came off on a blitz right there for Prairie Ridge, which he did not make the play, but he blew the play up, allowing his teammate for a bit to come in and make a play. So nice job by number 25 right there on your screen, creating a play for his teammate.
4th down here for the Cyclones. You turn it over here, you're giving great field position to Samson Evans and the Prairie Ridge Wolves. Let's see if Ken Leonard wants to talk about it. Ken Leonard would like to figure out if that's the right play that they got called
Sacred Heart.
and the right look.
I think the first thing he did was let his quarterback try to use voice influx to try to draw them off sides. Prairie Ridge, the well-disciplined team that they are, nobody biting. They were showing blitz on that 3-down lineman. They had backers coming off each side. I don't know if they would have backed off or not, but we'll see if this changes things for Coach Leonard.
Bernyson so far, 8 completions, 12 attempts, 75 yards. His counterpart threw a pass, but it was negated because of a holding penalty. But don't be surprised if you don't see Prairie Ridge throw a pass in the rest of this game. That's not what they do. They run the rock, they tote the mail, and they've already got almost 300 yards of offense in this game.
What's so amazing with their offense is they can go 4 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, and 44 yards, just like that, through a running game, which is just so explosive.
We thank you so much for joining us here. The 6A state championship game between Springfield, Sacred Heart Griffin, and Crystal Lake's own Prairie Ridge Wolves. Handoff inside, and that ball may have come loose, and if not, I think Sacred Heart Griffin is short. Looking at the spot, this is going to be a turnover on downs. Let's see if they even bother to measure.
The stick's on the 41, and the ball's inside of
Timeout for a
that.
measurement.
All right. They're going to bring out the Lollipop Guild to see where this one is. Eyeballing it, it looks short to me. By about a half a yard, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, it's short.
Hey, you know what? You win football games 2 ways. You run the ball, you stop the run. They stopped the run right there, put an extra guy in the box, brought their linebackers. Celebration on the Prairie Ridge side. Those pom-poms were waving. That was team defense. And the way you stop a run is playing low pad level, low to the ground, beat the block off by staying lower than your man, firing the football, and Prairie Ridge was able to do just that. Great defensive stop.
And there's Samson Evans on the outside, has a block, May gets the corner, cuts it back inside. He's inside the 20. That's 22 yards for Evans.
How about Jeffery Jenkins? Boy, does he like to get out in front of his quarterback. What great symmetry and trust between those two guys. But you know what the thing is with the big fella Jenkins? Watch 77 on your screen. He's looking, he's hunting. He finds one man, another man. But watch, he never is satisfied with one block. It's two, it's three, trying to pancake somebody downfield.
Here's Evans with the inside handoff. And Ibram.
Manuel Ibram, the ball interior.
Tackled in a timeout. You warm my heart with your keys of football. Reminds me of my good friend Doug Buffon. He had 3 keys and you had 2 of them. It was run the ball, stop the run, and then pressure the quarterback.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear that, I think of good old number 55, and it is a warm feeling I get thinking about my man Doug.
Yeah, football has so many facets to it, but when it comes down to the fundamentals, it's flat out easy. Blocking and tackling. Chris Shrimp right there, his team knows how to block, his team knows how to tackle, his team knows how to win. And you get to this level, it seems like 8 classes, all we do is talk about great coaches, because they are. You're talking about the premier coaches at each level that have programs, not teams, but programs to perpetuate themselves, and it goes week by week, year by year. That you hear about the programs where the little guys are playing at 5th grade, 6th grade, and you see pictures of the teams that the little guys have come to the stadium before to watch championships, and I want to be like that guy when I'm in high school.
We're under a minute to go here, and a reverse, and it's Brown making his way inside, close to the first down. And they're saying the ball came out, but they're saying he's down, and Brown's looking for a face mask penalty. He's not going to get one. Under 30 seconds left to go here.
Prairie Ridge 1 timeout left, which is important with their running game.
They're going to try to get lined up as quickly as possible, and then as the
Timeout for a measure.
the officials are going to call a timeout here. I'm 1 for 1, all right? So I'm pressing my luck here, but I felt like he got this one. This one seems like a first down. The Lollipop Guild's out there. Here's what they say. Ooh.
Boy, look at that on our screen. That's like 1 chain length, literally 1 chain length away.
And they respot and remeasure.
And the Wolves need to be on this ball when the referee winds the clock, ready to, take advantage of, the free timeout, if you will, for the measurement. This snap should take place about 2 or 3 seconds from the clock winding.
Well, there they are. Evans got him up to the line. And may have had a procedural penalty here.
Dead ball, delay a game, 2022 white.
Wow, the delay a game penalty. Now coming off of a measurement.
And they snapped the football in 2 seconds off the measurement. And Chris Shrimp in our picture not questioning that. So I'm not questioning the penalty. I don't know about the verbiage of the penalty.
And it seemed like they had plenty of time left, and they'll run it again. The clock is started. So now Evans going to drop back and throw over the middle and broken up. Had 2 players in the same area. Tried to get that one to Brown.
Evans pass broken up.
Little play action. What else would they throw? He just kind of threw that up to its highest point. And you mentioned a little bit of miscommunication between the 2 receivers. I don't think they were supposed to be in the same area. That wasn't a rub play. That was a pass play down the middle.
And now they're going to go for the field goal.
To attempt a field goal, 32 yards.
That kick is up. And it's good, a 32-yard field goal. And there's the lonely kicker. He's not lonely right now. Has his team a 24-17 lead with 10 seconds left to go in the half.
Derek Griner punches that one in. Good fundamental football, special teams. Both teams have been able to execute in that facet of the game, and that's the way you become a championship team. There are 3 phases to football, none of them more important than the other.
So really good hold there. The snap was a little low, so to get that hold, up and where Griner would want it, fantastic. Great kicker and self-aware. I like that. Part of the team, but understands his role on the team.
You would maybe assume, unless they believe that Griner can get this in the end zone, you might want to have a squib kick here to negate any kind of holdback, since there is only 10 seconds on the clock for the Sacred Heart Griffin offense to work with.
He booms this kick into the end zone.
Yeah,
wow.
no need for the squib. Like I had covered myself first by saying unless he believes he can get it out of the end zone, and he did that with what, 20, 25 yards to spare.
Jeez. We've seen two really good kickers in this game, and that's a weapon. And I'll tell you, you know, a lot of times in the prep games, we don't see great kicking. And to have two guys that can set your defense up and can make field goals, that's big.
Yeah, and the kicking game has evolved so much for high school. There's so many specialty kicking camps in the summer now and camps to go to. That's why you've seen the improvement that we're talking about.
Sacred Heart Griffin with the handoff here. And a good gainer, only 5 seconds taken off the clock. Lead with the carry. They pick up 9.
Playing very, very soft. Look at the defense for Prairie Ridge. They're a good 25 yards back.
Samson Evans is on the 35-yard line.
Look at that.
Safety.
What a great shot. You think they'll give up some yardage up front? They don't care.
He's not even on your screen right now. He's so far deep. Another handoff here. This one goes to the outside, and it again is Tremaine Lee, and that'll be the end of the first half. Prairie Ridge out of Crystal Lake with a 24-17 lead. A really good first half, and you know there were a couple of fumbles there early on that Prairie Ridge had to overcome, and they did. And seeing Chris Shrimp talk with the officials a little bit as he heads to hopefully talk with us.
Chris Shrimp, his team stayed with their game plan, and that is a well-coached team because he did not become phased at those first couple turnovers.
Yeah, and neither did his quarterback, which I think is key. That the quarterback didn't, Samson Evans didn't freak out, and nor is it really in his nature for him to freak out. All right, we're going to check in with one of the coaches after the break. Prairie Ridge 24, Sacred Heart Griffin 17. You're watching the 6A Championship on Comcast Sports Net.
It's halftime here in Champaign, where it's a close one between two undefeateds in the 6A Championship game. Prairie Ridge leading 24-17 over Sacred Heart Griffin, a 7-point game. I'm Sierra Santos here, joined by Edgy Tim, and other than the 3 turnovers to start in the first quarter, this has been such a very well-played game, as you expected. You know, the Wolves are averaging over 50 points per game this season, and with Samson Evans, you can see why.
Well, you can, and Mark upstairs mentioned great coaching and programs, and I mean, this game's a reflection of both. Samson Evans has been running this Prairie Ridge offense for, you know, it seems like he's been there for like 10 years running it. He's so good at knowing that system. It starts on the lower levels. They run the same offense, the same system, the grade schools, the same. And you just watch Evans, just a technician running that option. Great tools. You see that first step once he has a seam, absolutely gone. And Sacred Heart, some years Kenny Leonard's offense is more pass. This year he has an abundance of running backs and a big offensive line. Again, a great coach adapts to his talent. That's what Kenny Leonard has done as well with Sacred Heart. And it reflects in a great game. Both teams very strong in what they do.
And you've talked about how balanced that offense is with Sacred Heart Griffin. What can you say about the execution from both both teams.
It's great. I mean, they're doing what they do well. Again, you take away a couple of the early turnovers. If I'm a Prairie Ridge fan, I wasn't too worried because they've done this. They've come back from being down and issues. They never blink. They're that guy at the poker table you don't want to be playing against. You never know where they're coming. They don't show weakness. They don't show being nervous. They just execute and do a great job.
And Evans with already 3 touchdowns in the first half. We will be back shortly with the Country Financial memorable moment.
Football or baseball was probably the 2 sports that I really excelled in. Our second game of the year, I believe. GCMS were 1A, and Moments is this 3-4A Goliath, so to speak. Coming in, a lot of the riders were not giving us a chance. They were big, they were fast. We were down early, but we came back, and in the third overtime, threw a pass to the winning touchdown. Just the sheer adrenaline, the joy, slapping high fives with your buddies, town talking about it for weeks afterwards, sometimes even years. It's still brought up every now and then. Pride, I mean, it was awesome. That's what it feels like to win. Being part of Country means getting to know your customers, having that relationship at the local level, having that relationship almost like you're part of the family. Hi, my name is Pete Hornstein, and I started with Country Financial August 1st of 2013.
Well, it is everything as billed, the 6A title game as Prairie Ridge leads 24-17 at halftime. This one has been very evenly matched. We talked about the balance of Sacred Heart Griffin. We also talked about the explosive play from Samson Evans, and I think he made a couple of our highlight reels. So let's go ahead and check it out. So far, we had the first score of the game, which made it 3-0.
Actually, there was a strip and score for the touchdown.
Yep. And that was Samson. That was not Samson. I'm sorry.
Here we go. Here's Evans.
There it is. Samson Evans. This was the 80-yard touchdown quarterback keeper.
Talk about great feet on that run. Just kept his balance, kept those feet going, and again in the end zone for the touchdown.
And really strong blocking from his teammates as well. That made it 10-7 Prairie Ridge. And then Samson Evans.
And that was Ibram, the fullback, on a nice run.
Again. And then here, fakes the handoff. Again, takes it in, his second touchdown of the day.
Just a great fake on the counter and just ran it back for the score.
And then here, an incredible pass. And I think that was Vince Mounts.
Yeah, that was Mounts. Again, bigger receiver. And
34 yards on that.
Here goes Tremaine Lee, Sierra for the touchdown. And again, just an impressive mix on offense for Sacred Heart in the first half.
And then, of course, the very last one, his 41st rushing touchdown of the season. That was a 6-play, 76-yard drive. And with so many different guys that they have in the backfield, he's able to do stuff like that.
And again, Samson Evans right now 37 yards away from setting a Class 6A state rushing title rate. So Ryan Clifford from Naperville Central had the old record. So again, you can see another record-breaking performance.
And here are some of the stats at halftime. We talked about the balance and I guess kind of the lack of balance for the Prairie Ridge.
Yeah, but I'll take 325 yards rushing in a half any day.
So, Edgy, when you look at these stats, what are you going to keep an eye out for in the second half?
Right now, I think the most important stat could be turnover going into the second half. You know, got to value possessions. I think Prairie Ridge has shown that they can kind of score it either way. They can go long drive or they can break a big play. And Sacred Heart capable of keeping up. And again, they're going to have to be able to mix it in and be able to answer score for score. again, I think we're in for a tremendous second half.
Do you expect Evans to air it out a little bit in the second half?
When he does throw, if you look at the stats, he's pretty successful.
All right, that is our halftime. We'll be back in just a little bit where Prairie Ridge has the lead.
Halftime here at the 6A state championship game. Prairie Ridge with a 24-17 lead over Sacred Heart Griffin. The head coach of the Cyclones joining us now, Ken Leonard. Coach, what things did you like about the first half with your team?
Well, I liked the first quarter defensively. I thought we really came out and did some things well. We had a little breakdown in the second quarter, but again, that quarterback is really good, and you got to wrap him up. He did a great job, and I think we got a rhythm in the middle session there where we had some good runs and some good passes, and we just had a good rhythm. And but you know, just little mistakes. You can't, in a game with this magnitude, you can't turn the ball over. You can't have penalties.
Samson Evans explosives. Was that more scheme breakdowns as your end, or just his great athleticism?
Oh, I think it's a little both. Definitely, he's a great athlete, and take nothing away from him. But we did have some breakdowns. We got a couple sophomores that, yeah, just, you know, and a couple seniors that we just didn't tackle, and it's not usually like us. But you know what? Great players make you look kind of bad sometimes.
Coach, thank you so much. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
This game so far has been a lot of fun and very well played. Now, there were some early turnovers for Prairie Ridge that turned into points for Sacred Heart Griffin, but their offense started to get rolling, and Samson Evans started to show why he's one of the better players in the state.
Well, you turn the ball over 2 times, give up 10 points off of that, and are able to come back with the second half, with the second quarter like they had, and regain the lead. It just shows what a special kind of player he is, that is able to have an explosive play on any time.
And Sacred Heart Griffin, they showed good balance. They were able to throw and run the ball with a couple of different backs in the first half, but they did stall in the second quarter. They seemed to really have control of the game in the first quarter, but they stalled a little bit in that second quarter. So how can they go about keeping their offense moving forward?
I think they just have to follow the lead of their fine quarterback, Bryson, and what he does is he leads his team in his own way. He's got to hit some play action passes. He's found some balls downfield that they get vertical routes 15, 20 yards, and then the 2 little guys that carry the football in a big way have to come up big. And if that happens, they'll be a 48-minute football game here today.
So far, we have seen Samson Evans do tremendous work carrying the ball for Prairie Ridge, 212 yards on 15 carries so far, and he's got the record in sight now in the second half.
Just 37 yards away from a 6A record. Ryan Clifford from Naperville Central. And we talked about run the ball, stop the run. Now this is going to sound a little bit mundane. I think Prairie Ridge has done a pretty good job stopping the run. Tremaine Lee has 49 yards. That's a lot. Brian Adams, they call him BB, has 40 yards. That's a lot. But they haven't gone to the house. They haven't had those big explosives. You're talking about 2 young men who have over 3,000 yards rushing on the season, and so it's been negating the big play, the explosive play that has been the biggest bonus for Prairie's thus far. They've dominated this, except for their 2 turnovers, which are up on the board and a big part of this first half.
And I wonder, should we kind of grade on a curve when we're talking about Prairie Ridge's defense, because that first quarter was primarily them playing with a short field?
Yeah, absolutely. The offense turned it over, gave a short field. Sacred Heart Griffin punched it in, parlayed it to 10 points. Sacred Heart Griffin going to get the football first here in the second half. And you know what? I think that Sacred Heart Griffin does indeed have to make some adjustments in their schemes. And Coach Leonard told us that a couple sophomores had some breakdowns. It's all about reading keys. It's all about gap responsibility. Gap responsibility is huge. When you get out of gaps, big plays happen.
And we've seen both kickers have an impact on the game so far, and there's another touchback for Prairie Ridge. That's how you really help your defense. You make for long fields, and we've now seen the Sacred Heart Griffin offense have 80-yard fields quite a bit in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bernison's got a long field to work with. He's got his number 1 runner out there. No, it looks like Brian Adams, number 1, is in on this first series. So interesting decision there. But Bernison has gone with a lot of play action passing in this game. And once again, they try to spread out the Prairie Ridge defense, going with many wide receivers.
First play from scrimmage is bottled up behind the line of scrimmage.
Tackled by 25, Jacob.
Brought down.
You know, this Sacred Heart Griffin team can be explosive too. Last week, unbelievably, they ran just 6 plays from scrimmage in the first quarter. Only 6, but yet they led 14-0, so they can score in a myriad of ways. They had a touchdown kickoff return and then a long pass to Mounts. So 2 different people contributed in 6 different plays for them to have an early lead in their semifinal win.
Cyclones being very deliberate in their play call. Nice pass to the outside and broken up.
Bernison had to loft that one to get it over the linebacker.
Looked like Pete Bird came in and made the play there at the end with the pass defense. He had James Queen out there too, good on number 3.
Watch how soft he throws that ball up over the linebacker in front of the corner.
Wow, that was real physical play there by Pete Berg. And now it's 3rd and 10. Bernison had that ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. I think that was Jeffery Jenkins.
Yeah, we call his name on the offensive line. He said, give me a little love on defensive line as well. Gets that big paw up, that Wolf coming off the field. 77, look at him. He's going to juice and get a couple pats in the back right there. The big fella making his presence felt on both sides of football. Watch the hand come up, just like you're coached. He's being blocked, gets a left hand up, knocks the ball to the turf, and forces the punt.
It's a great, but Jenkins has been fantastic so far in this game. And that punt gets across midfield. And Prairie Ridge will take over. 32-yard punt. Jenkins says, reading in the Northwest Herald, him talking about the job of the defensive line for this Prairie Ridge team. The linebackers are the ones that have made all the plays. You know, Perhats and Omen, they make great plays. Even Renteria made great plays. He says, our job is we like to make piles. Well, that one, he did the job by getting his paw up and making a play. And now we see the offense go to work. Another big gainer for Zach Gobranson.
The football freight train they call the Prairie Ridge Wolves is in high octane right now, getting big chunks of yardage, explosive plays. Big old lineman getting out front, a little bit of a block by a teammate there, Cole Brown, and then good balance down the sideline by Gobranson, who is usually not a feature back, but having a doggone good afternoon here today in the 6A title game.
Inside handoff, Ibram.
Manuel Ibrahim, ball carrier.
Defensive end comes crashing down, but Ibram goes right through the A gap of the defense, right between the guard and center, picks up some positive yards, moving sticks. Every play is a manageable play in this option offense of the Wolves.
Evans gets the signal and relays it to his backs. Triple option offense, inside handoff again. They just wear you down.
The ball carrier. Tackled by 54,
This Prairie Ridge offense, the offensive line has 4 different junior starters and a junior quarterback, so they're going to be around for a while offensively. You see it.
This team that Chris Shrimp has put together, the program that has been built over the last 15 years at Prairie Ridge is impressive. Gobranson on the outside. You know what I found out about Zach Gobranson? He likes to deliver punishment.
Yeah, he's gonna punch you, huh?
Yeah, he's looking for you. You know, a lot of times defenders are looking to make a big hit. He's looking to make the big hit.
There's no doubt he's a football player, because we talked about his blocking prowess. He get a couple chances to block, a couple chances to carry the ball, a couple chances to be a feature in this offense here this afternoon.
This one, a keeper here, and there he goes again. Samson Evans with an 18-yard touchdown, his 4th touchdown of the day. And Prairie Ridge starting to take control.
Boy, what a great read this is by the All-Stater. He's just a junior. Are you kidding me? 4 TDs. Watch the read. There's a man in motion. There's the fullback quarterback read. And then he takes it off left guard over his fine offensive lineman, Garrett Crump, but it's Katie Barr the door into the end zone.
It's what we talked about, where the linebackers crash down on the inside handoff, and if you've got a quarterback who can make a great decision at the mesh point, you're going to come up with a big play. Samson Evans is Mr. Everything for this offense, and you see why. We're back here at Memorial Stadium as Prairie Ridge starting to assert itself. Sacred Heart Griffin had gotten off to a 10-0 lead in this game and has since been outscored 31-7 by this Prairie Ridge team that has found itself with Samson Evans, who now has 230 rushing yards on the day.
Last week, he had 229. So how about some consistency? Got a lot of minutes left here today. 4 touchdowns last week, 4 touchdowns today with time to spare.
For Griner, that's a short kickoff that landed inside the 5 and returnable for the Cyclones. They get a good return out to the 34-yard line. 29-yard return. And now the Cyclones are set up. Let's see what they do offensively. Outside of the short fields, they haven't really been able to get a good rhythm going offensively. The defense for Prairie Ridge has been very strong. We've seen Joe Perhats with plays. We've seen Jacob Oben make a big play. Jeffery Jenkins with a great pass defense at the line of scrimmage.
But Sacred Heart Griffin, they'll keep playing. I flat out guarantee you that. There's their 7th title game since 2000.
We're seeing a little Wildcat look here with Adams taking the snap, and he fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Prairie Ridge. That is a huge play for the Wolves of Prairie Ridge out of Crystal Lake. Really taking control of this game, and Ken Leonard looking for some answers.
Well, I tell you what, these 2 teams can take it away. Coming into today, plus 17 on turnover margin was Prairie Ridge, plus 15 Sacred Heart Griffin. This is the first takeaway of the day for Prairie Ridge. They have it inside their own 50, a short field.
Daniel Renteria there with the forced fumble for Prairie Ridge, and they're in plus territory now on 2nd down.
Renteria safety. They play only a 3-deep zone. Renteria has 6 interceptions on the year for Prairie Ridge. That time, it was he that made a play from the back end to create a turnover, get the ball back in his offensive hand. There's a good shot of Renteria getting his well-deserved break on a toss sweep here.
Toss sweep goes to Gulbranson. And it'll leave a 3rd and 5 for the Wolves.
That was 62. Galata getting out in front. Just take turns this offensive line. Trying to spring ball carries. Galata only 5'9", 218.
They would hate to have to give this ball back to the Cyclones. Want to make sure they can keep this drive alive. And here goes Evans. Evans bottled up behind the line of scrimmage. Great defense by the Cyclones. They read that play really well.
So that is indeed, that's a set play. That was not any kind of option football. They had all the flow going to the right, then spinning back and trying to pick up a blocking seam was Samson Evans. Nothing, 1, 2, 3, 4 hats around the fellow that time.
There's nowhere for him to go. He couldn't even duck that one back inside to pick up positive yards. So it leads to a punting situation.
So the Sacred Heart defense answers. They pick up their teammates, getting a 3 and out after the turnover, keeping their team in a little bit of contention here.
Really good punt. Let's see if it checks up. Oh, rolls into the end zone. Thought they might have a chance to bat that one back.
43 yards on the punt. Touchback. Sacred Heart Griffin.
Another 80-yard field for Sacred Heart. 43-yard punt, 23 on the net. So the Cyclones offense comes back out onto the field.
Jack Clement, number 61, their fine center. He'll play college football at South Dakota, 6'3", 295. And he is probably their best offensive line. I see him getting ready to snap the football in the pistol or shotgun formation, but they're running a little bit of Wildcat again. Huh?
Another Wildcat look, this time with Tremaine Lee as the Wildcat QB, and flags on the play. Looks like this one's going to come back after a hold.
Lee, the ball carrier.
And it does.
Flag on the play.
Now, I'm not supposed to, in my job, speculate.
Okay.
But I'm going to break that rule. If you came out with Tremaine Lee in Wildcat, and then you use Adams in Wildcat.
Think something's wrong with Brenison?
Yeah, and now he comes gingerly back in. That's what I was thinking about as we see 15 coming back in the football game for his team.
Holding. 61 flat. 10-yard penalty.
It is an interesting choice by Ken Leonard to go on his first couple of possessions, and they're in it again. And Brenison is now split out the quarterback. Number 15, he's the quarterback of this team. He's split out wide to the right.
Bottom of your screen.
And here's Lee again trying to cut it back on the sidelines. Now here's a question. If Brenison is hurt to the point where he can't catch or can't throw, does that mean he can't catch? And if he can't catch, then aren't you playing 10 on 11?
Yeah, you basically are, but they had him spread out so wide, he just threw one man out of the box against him. It looks like they're going to put him in a quarterback situation now. He's back doing what he's normal. That's directing traffic and being, again, the emotional quarterback and the physical quarterback of his team. But we'll see how much maneuverability that he has on this particular play.
A handoff here to Adams. I mean, we're not even really seeing Brenison move at this point. So you wonder if he is dealing with something, because this is a little different from what they do offensively.
And the pace of the Cyclone offense is also slow. They're not in any kind of, I mean, they've never been a hurry up, fast break offense here today, but the pace is even slower than the first half. Not a lot of rhythm and tempo. Offenses are based on rhythm and tempo, symmetry between running backs and linemen.
He's being flushed out of the pocket now, dragged down, an incomplete pass out to the flat. The defense of Prairie Ridge really getting after it.
And there was a receiver in your screen. That would be Mounts. Somebody might say grounding. No, because number 83 is out there enough in the picture. We just saw his left arm a little bit, so the official could not call intentional ground, as he at least avoided a sack with his feet right there. But he takes another hit, this time from Jacob Oman, the linebacker.
So Prairie Ridge holds, and Brenison with the punt gets a good roll that'll take it to the 48-yard line. 28-yard punt. Prairie Ridge with a 31-17 lead, as we wonder if the quarterback for Sacred Heart Griffin is doing all right. More coming up after this. Tomorrow morning, before Jordan Howard and company face the Tennessee Titans, get ready for the kickoff with Chris Bowden, Lance Briggs, Alex Brown, and Jim Miller on an hour-long edition of Bears Pregame Live. And after the game goes final, you won't want to miss what the guys have to say. Plus, hear from Coach Fox and the rest of the team on Bears Postgame Live. It all begins tomorrow at 11 a.m. on CSN. Let's show you what was going on the Sacred Heart Griffin sideline. That's the quarterback, Tim Brenison, and we're trying to figure out if that's his older brother, Bobby, who played for this team a long time ago. And we don't know if he's struggling with an injury or if he's just struggling with confidence. And trying to figure out what the next step is for the quarterback of the Cyclones, because the last couple of possessions, he's been more decoy than he has been quarterback.
Now, Bobby, if that is indeed him, the head coach at Centralia, won 2 state championships, and he'd be getting some good knowledge from a guy that is a good football savvy.
Inside handoff. Goes to Ebram. He picks up the first down.
Ebram very quietly, 63 yards, average about 5.5 a punch. You know, he's not going to get that explosive, but he's going to come right down at you, downhill, right into your screen, right into your backfield of the linebacker area, and gain positive yardage enough to keep a defense honest for the interior game.
He's over 1,000 yards for the season. This time Samson keeps it. Samson Evans. The runs to the left side, picks up 7 yards.
Samson Evans 4 touchdowns last week, 4 this week. Big game against Lake Forest, 7 against Montini.
Now he's got to tie his shoe, though.
He's got a touchdown machine.
And his shoe's all right, so I'm ready to go. You guys don't have to come over here.
That is quite the physical specimen to run this offense.
This time he hands off to Brown. Brown goes to the right side, maybe picks up a yard.
That's a good job by the Cyclones. We talk about gap responsibility. What that means is I'm supposed to take care of the gap between center and guard, the one technique. I'm supposed to have between guard and tackle. I'm supposed to have integrity as far as pitch man. I'm supposed to have integrity on the outside. If everyone does their own job in individual matchup, that's what team defense is all about.
3rd down here for Prairie Ridge, and they go to Ebram, who picks it up. Ebram having a great afternoon.
It's a big number, 71 for Sacred Heart Griffin.
By the way, Samson Evans, 241 yards rushing now.
So he did break the record, is that right? Of Ryan
1
Clifford.
yard away from Ryan Clifford's record. Inside, they go to Ebram again. He spins off a couple of tacklers.
Ebram on the carry. Tackled by 7.
Picks up 6 yards.
There you see the big fella inside.
Second down and 4.
He's their most disruptive guy, Prairie. He's 305. He plays both the 1 and 3 technique. That means he'll line up between center and guard and tackle. He's their big guy inside that just tries to blow up blocking schemes.
Here's Evans, late pitch, gets the ball outside to go Branson, and they pick up the first down. This is the type of patience that we're talking about. The thing about Samson Evans, he doesn't panic. Now watch this play. It takes a little while to develop, and he's able to get to Gobranson with an inside blocker to make it so that Gobranson can get outside.
Yeah, and Evans actually, you know what else? He threw a block himself there out in front. He knows what his teammates do for him. He gives it up for his teammates there.
Well, we know he's a tough guy, that's for sure. This inside run to Ebram, pushing the pile. He gets it down to the 2-yard line.
Ebram the ball carrier.
Prairie Ridge really taking control of this game. Starting to bleed the clock a little bit, too.
Rapathan, Galata, showing some big guys up front. Opening up some seams right there for Coach Shrimp.
Second and goal at the 1-yard line.
Second and goal at the 2. Looked like there may have been a little bit of a problem with the handoff here.
Dead ball foul, false start, number 66, White.
I'm glad I just said something nice about Grapathan, because the official said something poorly about him, but that young man's had a pretty good game. Normally, when an offensive lineman moves, it's because the play's going to come over him. He's just a little bit more anxious to make that special block. That's sometimes an indicator. And he'll have to come back next play is the thing. We've talked about that throughout the afternoon. You make a mistake, maybe he'll make the pancake block or the seal block to get them into the end zone here.
2nd and goal from the 6. Pitch play. Branson outside and scores. The rush game for Prairie Ridge is just a machine right now. 6-yard touchdown run for Zach Branson.
You could get a chance to see this offense in high octane. A nice seal block by 62. Watch him just turn his man inside. Yeah, it wasn't a great block, but he just sealed his man, Galata, to get the job done.
The extra point is up and good. A 9-play drive that goes 48 yards and runs 4 minutes and 2 seconds. And now Prairie Ridge up 3 touchdowns on Sacred Heart Griffin.
Yeah, some serious separation up on the board now. Trailing 10-0, 38-7. Since then, it's been domination, just a punishing ground game. Rushing yards, Prairie Ridge, 433 yards. And Branson 9 times. He's carried it for 76 and a touchdown. They spread around the wealth a little bit, but you see a pretty nice scoring drive, a short field to work with after the defense got him the ball back at the 48-yard line. It took him 9 plays, matter of fact, to get the job done, shoot up some clock as well.
And now Sacred Heart Griffin has got to figure out a way to punch back, and we'll find out, what's going on with their quarterback, and if they let him throw the ball, because you're in a situation now with only 15 minutes left in this game. You need to do something.
Sacred Heart Griffin comes in 13-0. So this is uncharted waters for them, trailing like this. They basically, that man, the legend, his team has basically flown through these playoffs, 17 consecutive playoffs, 37th playoff for Sacred Heart Griffin. Derek Leonard from Rochester, his son, won a state title last night. Dad trying to keep up with the son here and win a state title.
Absolutely. Bernyson back in the shotgun. Little motion work. Gets it out into the flat to Lee, and that's covered up. Lots of flags out on the field. I think we got multiple penalties here, partner.
Yeah, for Sacred Heart Griffin, they've won 55-10, 61-21, 62-0, 56-7, 60-25. It keeps going. I don't think they've trailed like this. The only difficult task they had along the playoffs was against St. Lawrence from the Catholic League, where Coach Leonard said, we told our guys we're going to play the big boys from the Catholic League. Well, they got the win against the Vikings of St. Lawrence, and Ken Leonard said, well, I guess we're big boys too.
Illegal shift on the offense. Penalty is declined. Holding number 8 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And now Sacred Heart Griffin will be snapping the ball in the shadow of their end zone.
Tremaine Lee or BB Brian Adams just have not been able to get that explosive big-time play that they are used to contributing for the Cyclones.
Flea flicker play. Bernyson going up top. Got a man open. And it's caught at the 48-yard line. Michael Healy with a 36-yard reception.
47-yard line.
He just airs it out. Healy's only 5'9", but watch him extend fully up and just rip the ball away from James Queen.
Inside run there, gets it to midfield.
Tackled by 65, Dunnigan.
Here's the flea flicker. Bernyson looked all right on this throw.
Yeah, he aired that about 45 yards.
Outside run here with a little bit of room, and there's a flag on the play.
Lead the ball carrier.
More read football
Flag on the play.
there for Sacred. Read option football for Sacred Heart. Tremaine Lee now with a good day, 12 for 55, 12 carries, 55 yards, but we've been talking about the explosive play. Chop block below the legs. That's a rule, is to protect injuries to the lower extremities. So many knee injuries because of hits down there. ACL, that's a tough ligament. It really is. It's
really
a tough ligament.
is.
It's not very strong.
Block below the waist, number 15, the offense, 15-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
So Sacred Heart Griffin with back-to-back penalties in this series.
They're struggling to find rhythm.
Absolutely.
Bernyson putting it up, got a man wide open, and a nice pass defense there. That's beautiful defensive football by James Queen, who comes in and breaks up what would have been a good gainer for the Cyclones.
What great timing. It was ball, hat, hit, incomplete, as Queen was right there on the spot. Watch his break on the football. It's a well-thrown ball, hangs up a little bit longer.
And a big hit.
Kaboom. Right there. Violent collision.
Third down now for the Cyclones. Bernyson going down the sideline and has a man. And the referee threw his hat. Side judge threw his hat. So I'm wondering if he's going to say that he was out of bounds at some point.
Now here's the ruling. Did Tremaine Lee step out of bounds?
And did he reestablish?
Or was he bumped out of bounds, which would make him legal? They're talking about, if you see the official at the 30-yard line, or they're talking about things. We'll see it, get a chance to see it again, buying some time, extend the play, stepping up in the pocket. Now watch him step out of bounds there.
I think that I don't think that he was bumped. I think he was running the sideline and just got that right foot out of bounds.
It's called spatial awareness.
Right there at about the 36-yard line. It looked like he ran out of bounds.
And the officials right on top of that play as it happened. We saw the hat go down to mark the situation. Good officiating by a crew that's earned its way here to the title game. And there's just another example. You talked about rhythm, and I couldn't guarantee you more. A big play negated because of inches, basically, on the sideline. And one bit of, positivity they had going for them is going to come back.
Ken Leonard talking with the official, saying, what did you see? And
we have illegal participation. Number 9 stepped out of bounds, came back in, and caught the ball. 15-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
So you don't get the gainer, and you also get flagged for a 15-yard penalty.
And they had the right call and the wrong number. That was an interesting turn of events. Now they don't. That's the original spot, so there's not a penalty. They haven't not walked off a penalty, even though they verbalized that they were going to.
The yard marker is back at the Sacred Heart 35.
Little wheel route out of the backfield for Lee.
And now they bring it back up to the 46-yard line of Sacred Heart Griffin.
And believe me, they will take the proper time to get this right, the officials.
All right, so third down and 11. Bernyson drops back, goes up top again, and another player out. The Prairie Ridge is doing a good job of using the sideline as the 12th defender.
Yeah, they have found Sacred Heart Griffin has a place that they want to go, but you're right, negating that, using that boundary to their benefit is the Prairie Ridge defense, basically playing zone right now.
Well, with a little over 13 minutes left to go in this game,
down and 11
Sacred Heart
at the
Griffin is
46-yard
almost
line.
forced to go for it here, down 3 touchdowns.
Only rushing 3, but they bring one backer.
No, they decide to pooch kick it instead. This one falls inside the 10-yard line and rolls all the way to the 8. So a long field for Prairie Ridge, but they have to take that as a victory where their opponent decides
yards
to
on the
punt
punt by Bernyson.
in a 4th and 11 situation, down 21 points.
There is no doubt Prairie Ridge has the momentum in this football game. They have rhythm, they have tempo, something that we said Sacred Heart has lacked the last few series, and they have really fed off each other, the offensive line and the quarterback.
We're going to take a timeout here. Prairie Ridge 38, Sacred Heart Griffin out of Springfield 17. You're watching the 6A state final on Comcast Sportsnet. Under a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. Prairie Ridge with control of this game so far. 13 minutes away from a 6A championship, or 2nd. And here's a nice inside. We've seen this all game long, partner, where Ibram has been able to carry the ball
Tackled by 33
up the gut and has gotten big gainers from it.
Well, he knows what hole is called for him. Is he going between guard and
20-yard
tackle?
line.
Is he going tackle and end? He knows where he's going. He just doesn't know if he's going to get the ball. And how much trust you have to have between quarterback and a fullback on that fullback ride. He knows where he's heading, but he does indeed run with a low pad level.
We're seeing all sorts of records being broken by this offense, and they're adding to their rush yard totals right here as Ibram carries it out to the 47-yard line. Over 450 rush yards for this Prairie Ridge team. Here's Ibram again with the inside run. It's the first time we've seen one of the, outside of Samson Evans, one of the offensive linemen get outrun. They're usually 20 yards downfield putting hats on people.
Yeah, Ibram, he might need a little bit of oxygen here as the 3rd quarter is going to get ready to end, because the big fella, who's small in stature but big in his upper body strength, just toted a couple times for big yardage.
We're headed to the 4th quarter. Prairie Ridge with a 38-17 lead over Sacred Heart Griffin 6A championship game. Back in 2011, Prairie Ridge won a championship, and they are 12 minutes away from winning another. 38-17 lead over Sacred Heart Griffin, and the Wolves have the ball. Meanwhile, they're also setting rushing records in this game.
They have 2 100-yard rushers. Well, actually, I'm mistaken, because Samson Evans is a 200-yard rusher. 241 up on the board, and the fullback, Ibram, 122. So how about the 2 guys inside and outside punch, and just a good inside-outside game by this just punishing ground attack. This option football a la Army, Navy, Air Force, Georgia Tech, you name it. Prairie Ridge runs it well in its own right.
The triple option is being
5-yard face
worked
mask, defense number 33.
perfectly by the folks at Prairie Ridge. Chris Shrimp's team's done a great job handling the defense for Sacred Heart Griffin, not being intimidated. They've only tried 1 pass in this game, and he told us, don't be surprised if we only try 1 pass, because that's not what we do. We run the ball, and there hasn't been an answer. There hasn't been a counterpunch from the Cyclones. They've been dominated with this run game, and what we saw earlier on, partner, was them crashing down defensively, and that leaving the door, the back door, wide open for Samson Evans and Emmanuel Ibram and Zach O'Branson to have big games.
His decision-making has been impeccable here today. You know, an offensive line, well, everyone gets a grade. not just in their schoolwork, but you get a grade on the football field as well. Offensive line gets graded on, you know, how many domination blocks they have, pancakes blocks they have. The quarterback would get a grade on his reads, and his reads means his decision making, and he'll go over that with his coaching staff. And his decision making today, as I said, has been impeccable. That's why his team has 38 points up on the big board, counting 10:50 to go until the state title.
Evans 1 yard away from a record, and there goes the record for Samson Evans, who now has 250 rushing yards.
In this particular play, Lawrence, he should have 1 yard, but you had to call him getting 6 or 7 because he's so strong. It's so hard to bring down individually. He was hit at the line of scrimmage, was hit again 1 yard out, and instead picks up 5 or 6 as he just continues to churn his legs. Free play or a penalty, they're going to call it.
Dead ball. Encroachment out of defense, number 8.
That's going to make a first down.
Penalty repeat. First down.
Where the focus that you see, we just saw a great picture of Chris Shrimp, and his team gets a penalty, and he just talks, moves on, looks at his chalkboard, looks at his board, his playbook, and gets ready there to look at. That card has every kind of scheme that they will run today. It's all planned out. Usually coaches script the first 10 or 12 plays. In option football, probably not, but they always want to know exactly where they're going to try to probe the defense.
Evans going to pass, and he is got Forbett wide open for a touchdown. Austin Forbett, a 28-yard touchdown reception, and no one in the building thought that was coming.
Jack Ball, the free safety. You can't blame the young man. He bit on the play fake, and you know what? You're supposed to hold your keys, but when you run it about 99% of the time, how do you not? And look at the frustration of number 11 coming into your screen, and the jubilation, number 80 for Bit. He doesn't get to catch too many, but he lights up the scoreboard with that one, his 10th touchdown catch of the season.
First completion for the Prairie Ridge Wolves, and it's a touchdown. 7 plays, 91-yard drive, took 3 minutes and 10 seconds off of the clock.
And let's talk about efficiency. Samson Evans, only his 29th completion of the season, but 50% of his passes go for touchdowns. Think about that efficiency, as gathering that scoring strike was for Bit, 6'4". Safety comes up, ball, doesn't see the football because he's thinking run. That's what that offense does to you. And that might be the big play, the explosive play that they can sniff the title.
Home run hitter. And keep in mind that Samson Evans, a junior.
Yeah, nasty. Nasty. Look at his helmet. See all those wolves on it? I mean, those are all there. There's a little bit of battle scar on the back of that. Well-deserved drink of water. Do you realize that when we look at his obscene numbers on the season, almost 2,000 yards, now it's over 2,000. A lot of times he only plays half a game.
That's right.
I mean, he only plays half a game. Many running clocks.
It was one of the concerns that Chris Shrimp had, that they didn't play a lot of fourth quarter football. And they're not really necessarily having to play fourth quarter football here with a 4-touchdown lead, but it was one of the things that he wanted to make sure that his kids were sharp.
Their offensive line, their down blocking scheme, blocking down and creating holes, and the reads have been just outstanding here today. And what they have done with a 45-17 lead over an undefeated Sacred Heart Griffin team has been a statement maker, especially down 10-0.
Bernyson now forced to put the ball up, trying to get chunks of yards as quickly as possible for the Cyclones. And they're going to go to a little hurry-up look here.
Love the presence of Bernyson. Nice catch in there by Healy, but Bernyson just has a presence about him. When your dad's a longtime coach, a member of the staff, when your brother's a quarterback and from a state championship team, he was a ball boy for Sacred Heart Griffin when he was 4 and 5 years old.
outside run here, and a first down and more as the pile moves. We're seeing Sacred Heart Griffin trying to move as quickly as possible. Tristan Blair on the carry on that run. Closing in on 9 minutes to go in the game. And a procedure penalty here on Sacred Heart Griffin.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
You know, you look at Sacred Heart defense. Now, I know they have the ball offensively, but their linebackers, Bernice and Matt has 12 tackles, John Keene 9, and their third linebacker, Donneville, 5. So they've done the job. But unfortunately, many of those tackles have been 6-8 yards, you know, into the second level of their defense.
Brenison puts one up deep, no one there, incomplete.
Pass is incomplete. Brings up second down.
486 rushing yards now for Prairie Ridge. Total offense in this game, 246 now for Sacred Heart Griffin.
Bryson calls out the signals, low snap, gets the pass off, complete for a short gain outside to Spencer Red.
Spencer Red had an 87-yard kickoff return for a touchdown last week, trying to get the ball speed and space to the young guy.
And he's coming up limping a little bit. See if he stays in.
Nobody wants to go out of the state title game. You want to, you know, these are hard-nosed athletes. They've been training literally since last November to play a title game this November. It's a year-round commitment to be a championship player.
Bernison with the pump fake now going up top and incomplete. He's trying to find Jack Bowl.
Envious position now for Prairie Ridge defense because they get to tee off at the first level. Their defensive linemen get to go ahead and play pass rush at the third level, the back end of their defense. They get to play much softer, deeper, and just negate any kind of explosive play. So much easier defensively to scheme right now because the Cyclones become much more one-dimensional, having to pass in this situation as well.
Fourth down for the Cyclones. Bryson rolls right, gets pressured, puts it up, and the ball is knocked down and incomplete. And a turnover on downs. Here comes the Prairie Ridge offense back on the field.
Prairie Ridge takes possession on
Leonard
down.
will still extol his team to play as hard as they can, but you saw his head go down just for a second as they turned that ball over on downs.
Well, the run game for Prairie Ridge, you see the Prairie Ridge fans, they're all excited because they know how close they are.
Great shot there of some juice students. There's going to be a celebration in Crystal Lake, well deserved.
Here's Evans up the middle.
Samson Evans
Continues to be a force in the middle of that offense.
Now they'll just use a little bit more play clock every time. The schemes will be the same. The approach will be the same. They're still playing, would push the pedal to the metal, but they'll just take more time in between snaps. Good clock management. As you see, Samson Evans just wait for that play clock to run down, shortening the game.
Smart. This time he hands it off to Ibram, who is about a yard short of a first down.
Tackled by 25, Joey Hilbrand.
But this is when you've got a quarterback that understands what the big picture is. He almost doesn't need to be told. As Chris Shrimp, former construction worker, before he decided to dabble in teaching and coaching. built up a program from nothing.
Went to St. Joe's High School, St. Xavier University. He's 129-50 since he began his dabble.
Here's Evans on the outside with a stiff arm. You want to know how strong this young man is? They might even get him for a face mask. Let's see what the call is.
Gets a little fist bump from his buddy. Cole Brown leading him outside.
Let's see what the call is here, or if they picked it up. Yeah, they picked up the flag, so the stiff arm from the quarterback showing a lot of power on that play to the outside.
5-yard face mask, number 32 on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
They actually called it on the defense. Now watch the strength of this young man right here. Wow.
Yeah, he just used that arm, and what a great job. You see he had the ball on the inside, then he switched to the outside when he saw the defender. Great ball handling, knowing that he was going to get hit, so he switched the ball left arm to right arm.
Fresh set of downs here for Prairie Ridge as we close in on 6 minutes left to go in the 6A state title game.
Option football, if any coaches would ever want to go to a clinic, they just pull up this game film, because it has been an outstanding clinic job by Prairie Ridge, doing what they do, staying within themselves. And a game manager right now, clock manager Samson Evans, just enjoying watching those seconds tick down.
He's not even stepping under center until under 10 seconds to go on the play clock, and then he snaps it. And now it's outside. Go Branson. Man, is he a tough runner.
Well, he lowered his shoulder too on the first would-be tackler. I think it might have been Sam Rays, the first guy that had a chance at him. And Samson Evans says, no, sir, I'm 205. Rays, you're 185. See him come into your screen.
And I think this gets Go Branson near 100 yards rushing today, which would make for 3 rushers with 300 yards. The Prairie Ridge offense has 500 rushing yards.
And Branson just a punishing run there on the corner. Now they could have 300-yard rushers, and yes, they do. Evans with 257. Eram, the fullback, 127. Go Branson, one of the running backs, 100. So you have all 3 phases, basically the inside game, the quarterback game, the pitch game, if you will. 527 rush yards compared to 119. Run the ball, stop the run, huh?
That's it. Pressure the quarterback. And there's another gainer, another first down for Prairie Ridge.
I mean, their game, quite honestly, was almost perfection, but, you know, the 2 turnovers early. Besides that, it has been a clinic.
If we cut out the first 4 minutes of the first quarter, this has been
pitching a perfect game.
Absolutely.
And you know what? You see Coach Trump, he'll show game film, and he'll show the mistakes right away.
Yeah, he will.
Maybe not in the championship game.
But he's also going to pat these guys on the helmet. As Go Branson trying to make a move outside. This one's going to come back. It's like a hold on the backside. Tough run. Looks like he got in, but I think this one is going to come back.
See that flag right at Cole Brown, who was, again, trying to get an angle on his block. The referee, I don't think, wanted to call that penalty, but once he saw that that block sprung the would-be touchdown, he's going to bring that one back. We'll see 23 he's going to be the culprit on this.
This gives Prairie Ridge more yardage to run
Holding
more clock.
number 23, White, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Tough call for the young man who tried to do what was right there, just couldn't get his angles. And watch him the top of your screen. There's the pitch, and there it is. Kind of a tough call, which I think the defender just turned his.
Evans with the keeper, still on his feet, gets the ball back down to the 21.
And a fresh 25 on the snap clock, which hasn't started yet. So this snap will take place, what, the 3:40 mark, something like that. Clock management, we've been talking about it. This drive started, what, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes old, this drive?
And they are bleeding it down right now. And Evans, again, doing a great job of not even really stepping under center until about 10 seconds left to go on the play clock.
3:40 on this drive, time-wise.
And takes it to the outside. 274 yards for Samson Evans.
And you take his numbers all year, they are just astronomical. But you take his yards in the playoffs we've talked about and his touchdowns in the playoffs, you know what? The competition's supposed to get better. His numbers have risen throughout the playoffs.
9 yards per carry coming into this game. He's averaging 12 yards a carry tonight.
5 touchdowns against DeKalb, 7 against Montini, 4 on the ground today, 1 on the air today, 5 accounted for.
He's going to throw it this time. Evans going, and it is almost picked off. He was looking for Brown. Trying to get Cole Brown involved here. See if he can catch them napping. Now Prairie Ridge will try a field goal. Griner, 3 of 4 for field goals. He had one earlier. 4 of 5 for field goals. This is a long of 41.
That's a big-time number for a high school kicker.
Derek Griner to attempt a 35-yard field goal.
This one from 35 yards out, off the right hash. And that's got a lot of leg left on it. That field goal is up and good. And the lead is now 31. Prairie Ridge 48. Sacred Heart Griffin 17. Yeah, look at him react. He likes that.
Juice, give me the T, I'll do my next job. Gotta love when he gets a chance to contribute. Little special teams meeting here.
Personnel here on the line on campus for their tremendous cooperation in managing this game.
I think we're also going to probably see some guys who maybe haven't played get into the game too. 11-play drive, 48 yards, 4 minutes and 52 seconds taken off the clock.
That's the key, is their clock management. Almost 5 minutes of scoreboard clock. They shortened the game. They put, if there was any doubt, which there wasn't much, they put it to rest right there by basically moving the football down the field, putting points on the board, and taking time off the clock, all in that drive. Now they go ahead and squib to negate any kind of kickoff return. Smart decision.
I'm looking on Twitter right now. IHSA State tweeted out a picture of a group of these young men from 5 years ago when the 2011 Prairie Ridge team won the state championship.
Yeah, the little shakers were hanging over the stadium seats. See a little congratulations there, you know, or encouragement. And yeah, that was awesome. That picture, I had a chance to see that. The little guys are now big guys, and they're going to take home a trophy of their own.
Samson Evans' brother played on that 2011 team. It was his birthday when they won, and here's a birthday present from your little brother, another state championship for Prairie Ridge. Pass outside. And, love to talk with Ken Leonard at some point and find out, well, what was going on with his quarterback once we started the second half of this game, because it felt like he wasn't quite himself.
Yeah, it was interesting, and you know, maybe we read into something, but they ran 2 different guys in the Wildcat. They had Bernyson out for a play, then they put him in a wideout. Look at there now, 3 defensive linemen. They're only going to rush 3, Prairie Ridge. Everybody else back in coverage, so he's not looking at 5 DBs. He's looking at 7 DBs basically, or a dime package, 8 DBs counting linebackers and defensive backs. So not many windows to throw for right now for Bernyson.
Yeah, and what Prairie Ridge is saying is, look, we've got the big lead. We know you're going to throw the ball. We're going to let you have everything in front of you, in front of us, and we're going to let this clock wind down to another state championship.
2011 state championship. Of course, Coach Leonard's won state championships. 2 of the finest in the business here.
Here's a run where, against the grain, you see Tremaine Lee run probably 20-25 yards to pick up 2 yards and a first down.
But what happens is Ullman, 25, Jacob Ullman, the linebacker, he has outside contain, and Lee's trying to get to the outside. Ullman wouldn't let him, forced to play back inside. If you funnel the ball back inside, you got a lot of white shirts there, teammates to help you. That's a trust in the teammates, because Ullman, the linebacker, did his job.
Bernyson rolling right. Pass complete near the sideline. Really nice catch there by Spencer Red. 90 seconds left in this game.
One of those games where 48-17, you always think, what's it gonna feel like? But this one, the outcome has been secured for quite a while, so you lose a little bit of the luster, you know what, until just the last seconds. Then they'll feel it once again, the exuberance of feeling a championship feeling.
Minute left. Bernyson running, looking for a block. Tackled inbounds. The clock will keep rolling.
How about his competitors, Lawrence? You know, he's still directing traffic, telling somebody who to block. Get that corner for him. I'm going to play hard to the last play of my career. Good picture of that young man and the kind of leader he is. They're going to play. He's playing like he's down one score right now.
He's got a little brother who's a sophomore in this team. One of the linebackers wants to set a good example for him.
Following the game.
Flag on this play, and I'm looking down at the Prairie Ridge sideline. Now, Prairie Ridge, only 38 players on the varsity roster. And I can tell you from what I'm seeing on the sideline who the non-varsity roster players are. And the reason why is because their helmets don't have anything on them.
Yeah, they bring up some guys from, you know, from the lower levels. And they say, go ahead and experience this, because they want them to be a part of this. But yeah, that's a good differentiation. Now, HUDs are starting on the sideline right now. So the celebration has started and will continue in Crystal Lake probably throughout the rest of the weekend.
Personal foul, number 61, Black. Repeat first down, 15-yard penalty.
Chris Shrimp and his assistants with some smiles. We finally see a smile. You see, there's that big smile. There it is.
That's the point. They just want to run on the field.
Everyone likes being a part of a dog pile when it comes to a championship game. We're a couple of plays away from that happening.
Coach Shrimp brought a change of clothes because he's going to be Gatorade wet in a few minutes.
No, you're right. We see it on the sideline. It's happening right now. The Gatorade bath is happening right now. They're lining him up.
There it goes.
They're going to go in two different directions, so he cannot escape.
Double team.
This is smart. These kids are well coached. You can tell that they're well coached because they know where he might scramble to.
There it is.
And they missed. They didn't wait for their wingman, Maverick.
Hey, you wait your whole life to throw Gatorade on your coach and just swing and miss. So it wasn't a perfect game.
All we know now, what we know is that Chris Shrimp is nimble. He's got the feet of a dancer to get away from that Gatorade shower that he's going to get. 2 seconds left. Bernyson throws it up. And it's intercepted, and that is it. The party is on in Crystal Lake. Prairie Ridge, your 6A 2016 state champions.
Prairie Ridge 48, Sacred Heart Griffin 17.
There's Chris Shrimp hugging his assistants, hugging the players. Look like the assistant got it worse in the Gatorade bath than the head coach did.
Poignant hug right there. Picture does indeed tell 1,000 words. What a worthy champion. 2 turnovers early on in this game. And Sacred Heart Griffin parlayed them into 10 points. Had an early lead, but no. Samson Evans, the leader he is. Some explosive plays, some inside handoffs. His fullback gets involved, some pitch plays, and some solid blocking. Put this explosive offense into high gear. It kept rolling to the tune of 48 points up on the big board, and that's how you win a championship here in Champaign.
Both teams lining it up in midfield, shaking hands. Prairie Ridge with a dominant performance after a shaky start comes out and wins 48-17.
544 rushing yards. We talked about Samson Evans with the individual 6A title rushing yardage, but they just obliterated things with a ground attack that would punish you with some inside play and then some speed on the outside. What a great balance of an option offense that was high octane here this afternoon.
Let's take a look at that tweet from earlier that I was talking about. Those are the kids, the little wolves at the time that came down 5 years ago to see Prairie Ridge win a state title, and now those kids have a state title of their own.
And you know what? You got to take a picture of some young kids down there now in 2016 when they find the little wolves and put their picture up, because with a program they got going, they're a threat to do it again.
There's no doubt. This program that has been built by Chris Shrimp over the last 15 years is a powerhouse. They finish undefeated as the players now come back to the sideline to celebrate with their friends, their family. A 6A state championship. Celebrating Crystal Lake tonight. Prairie Ridge, your 6A state champions. Prairie Ridge with a 48-17 win to capture the 6A state championship. And we saw an incredible performance from Samson Evans in this game. Unbelievable, unworldly, 274 yards for him, 4 touchdowns on the ground. And this was the play of the game, his 80-yard touchdown. Our Win Trust play of the game. This got them back involved in the game, but he did everything in this game.
We went with him on our open, and there he is on our close. What more can that young man do besides will his team to victory? Coming from behind early on, a couple turnovers, an 80-yard explosive play catapulted his team to a championship performance.
We're seeing all of the Prairie Ridge players celebrate and hug each other, the coaches, their family, their friends that have made the trip all the way down from Crystal Lake. I don't know if there's a farther commute that we could get than the one from Crystal Lake to Champaign, but there's your Win Trust play of the game, and the Country Financial player of the game belongs to Samson Evans. 24 carries, 274 yards, 4 touchdowns. He completed a pass
for a touchdown. 5 touchdowns accounted for. Unbelievable performance each and every week. His numbers outshine the previous week, except for that Montini game. You can't outshine you 7 touchdowns in a single game.
Ladies and gentlemen,
why don't we take a look at what made him so special today for Prairie Ridge. See him do everything, Mark. Inside, outside, make the right call.
Well, he's so strong, he's so explosive, he's so powerful. Watch his read, his decision making. How he got through that hole, it's just a great read. He rides a fullback, tucks it back himself, runs it into the end zone, and then a little bit of reverse football. He picks up his block. Look at his patience, look at his power, look at his explosiveness.
And you see here, making the right decision, making the defense miss, and getting himself into the end zone. And the beautiful thing, he's only a junior.
Cue up those highlights. They'll be played over and over again in Crystal Lake. And you're right, that young man has every way to have his team do it once again.
And there's Ken Leonard,
legend Ken Leonard,
the Hall of Famer.
Administrators and individual awards will be presented.
He's going to pick up the second place trophy. You can see the anguish on the face of the kids from Sacred Heart Griffin.
Ken Leonard started at Gridley High School way back when. He's 63 years old, and he's going to continue to coach.
Yep.
He doesn't know what he would do without coaching. He's leader of their Fellowship Christian Athletes chapter down there, a family person, a family-oriented person. Son Derek won a state title last night. And football is in the Leonard family. He said that's what we do.
It is. You have a shared love between father and son, both very accomplished coaches, the captains getting their medals, the runner-up trophy now being presented, and Sacred Heart Griffin 13-1 on the season, losing to what was a juggernaut of a team in Prairie Ridge that romped and stomped their way through the 6A playoffs and had an incredible performance today against a great team, not a good team. Sacred Heart Griffin is a great team. So to beat them and beat them handily lets you know how good this Prairie Ridge team can play when they're clicking. And remember, the final score of this is 48-17. Sacred Heart Griffin started out with a 10-0 lead. So to be outscored 48-7 the rest of the way lets you know that the kids from Prairie Ridge did not lose their cool and stuck with their plan.
And the entire team had a hand in that second place trophy, so the entire team getting their hand on that right now. Ken Leonard, look at him standing back, letting his team have an opportunity to enjoy the tears of sorrow. And there are some tears of joy right there in the white shirts of the Wolves of Prairie Ridge.
You see the captains up on the podium, and Chris Shrimp there with the glasses on, getting ready to get their medals.
Well, this one was all that you and I were anticipating, and we had some incredible offensive games here in 5A and 6A, and we had just numerous explosive plays for you to call here today.
Yeah.
In a fast-paced game it was, a lot of points up on the board, 1,000 yards in the 5A game, 48 points up on the board for the champions in this game. Just outstanding football. We got two more good ones to come, 7A and 8A coming up as well.
Yes, we do. The trophy presentations are brought to you by Menards, and there it is, the 6A championship trophy out of Crystal Lake. The Prairie Ridge Wolves with their 6A championship, their second in the last 5 years. Chris Shrimp, a lot to be proud of his team.
And the celebration, you talked about it, will continue probably for the next 340 days until they try to start the playoff run next year to do it again.
He's gonna give these guys until Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen, and then that's it. And then it's back to business. This is a triumphant performance from Prairie Ridge, who finished the season 14-0, undefeated, 6A state champions behind that guy. Samson Evans and his crew of running backs run all over Sacred Heart Griffin. And it didn't look like they were going to be able to weather the storm early, but they did with great defense and a lot of heart and an incredible quarterback in Samson Evans. Another state title for Chris Shrimp. Your final here in Champaign from a partner, Mark Lindo. I'm Lawrence Holmes saying congratulations to Prairie Ridge.
Welcome into the country financial game break. Prairie Ridge holds Sacred Heart Griffin scoreless in the second half, giving the Cyclones their lone loss on the season, capturing the 6A state title, their second in school history. Edgy, it takes a pretty special team to go undefeated on the season. How did they get it done this game?
Well, second half, Sierra, Prairie Ridge played their game. That is what they had done all season long. You talk about just a grinded out ball control offense led by Samson Evans. That's what they do, and that's what they've done with so much success. And again, you just saw long drives, you force a turnover here and there, and you just, if you're Sacred Heart, you just can't get the football back from this offense.
How crucial was Samson Evans in this game?
This season. I mean, it's very simple. He has performed this way week in and week out. And when people look at stats for the year and they look at his stats, you're not overwhelmed. What people don't see is how many games he didn't play. He might have played a half and maybe 2/3 of these games. That's how dominant of a player he was this season.
And what's most exciting about him is he's a junior.
He's a junior, and look out because there's a nice core of juniors on this state title team back again for next season.
And then what did you see that went wrong for Sacred Heart Griffin?
I don't know if it was so much Sacred Heart. You know, this year, as we mentioned, it's a little bit different team for the Cyclones and Ken Leonard. Where in the past they had more of a downfield threat. This year, stronger backs, and Timmy Berniason had a great season, but a lot of the passing was kind of short, you know, 5, 10-yard outs. Believe me, Kenny Leonard has been here many times. He will be back here again. Sacred Heart just reloads, so I think a little bit was maybe execution, but really a lot of this was Prairie Ridge.
And I expect that Samson Evans will also have something to say about his record-breaking performance here tonight. We'll get back to that in just a little bit. We are hoping to sit down and have a nice little chat with him and his head coach. We will be back in just a few with the champions. Welcome back into the Country Financial Game Break, where Prairie Ridge maintains their perfect record, going 14-0 after their second state 6A title. Let's take a look at what we got coming up next. It is the 7A title game with Plainfield North versus East St. Louis. Then the Class 8A title game, Loyola Academy, Maine South. Those times are going to be a little bit different given that we had a very long first game with the 5A title game, Peoria posting up those 62 points. It lasted a little bit longer, Edgy.
Moving along, trying to move this one along and hopefully get a little bit back on schedule, but you know, a couple of good games, and Sierra, I have a feeling we've got a couple more coming up here.
Exactly, and we will also be talking to the 6A champs coming up in just a bit. We'll see you on the other side. We are back, Prairie Ridge, with that 48-17 shellacking in the 6A championship game, and we now welcome in the guys who have now won their second state title. First off, congratulations, guys. I'm going to start with you, Samson Evans. You broke the 6A state title game record with 274 rushing yards, but I'm told that's just what you do. How did it feel?
It was a great feeling. We started off a little slow, myself, and after just picking it up, the offensive line, the backs, just carrying off fakes and doing everything that they do week in, week out, it's really helped me get the yards that I got.
Coach, just tremendous game, but I can't lie, I'd be disappointed. The Gatorade was a complete failure. Guys, a complete failure. I think you're going to need to come back next year and work on that.
We'll go for that. I'll definitely I'll take that.
You know, this guy gets all the pub, and sometimes he deserves it, and maybe sometimes he doesn't. Talk about defensively, just the effort. The big guy behind you had a nice game, and just talk about defensively shutting down just a tremendous offense at Sacred Heart.
Well, no doubt. It came down to our guys up front playing low and just firing off the ball, and then our just entire defense. I've said it before, our guys just play hard. They do their 1/11th, and that team defense really showed against some of their tremendous athletes today.
Samson, last time I saw you, last year, last game of the year, it was a tough loss. I mean, that was a tough loss in a snowstorm at Montini, guys. They're all shaking your head. How motivational was that to get you to this point tonight?
That was probably one of the biggest things that we used for motivation in the offseason is definitely that game. After that game, we all had this bitter taste in our mouth, and we knew that we could get back there, and we just had to work hard in the offseason, and that's what we did, and we're back here, and we won it.
Do you miss throwing the ball just a little bit?
I do not. I love it.
Good answer.
Honest answer as well.
Good answer. Just, you hear about, the path. What does this mean to the school, to the community? It wasn't too long ago you did this, and I know we had a picture that got tweeted out of a bunch of you junior wolves sitting in the stands.
Young guys.
And did you see that back then with this group?
Well, we knew they were talented. We knew they were winning lots of games when they were junior wolf guys, and that program has come such a long way.
You have the picture coming up here.
Help building up our high school program, and it's really been, like you said, a team effort, community effort, and those guys are running the option from the first time they have a football in their hands, and it shows how keeping that continuity going has helped us win 2 state championships.